There is a very specific kind of fear that comes when you wake up in the middle of the ocean, in the dead of night, when the only sound is the deep mechanical hum of the engines below you, and the endless heavy crashing of black water against the hull. In the dark, you realize just how small you are. You are entirely at the mercy of the sea. In July of 1909, a man named Claude Sawyer woke up in his first-class cabin on the SS Waratah, terrified. He was a man of logic, an experienced engineer. He was not prone to panic, and he did not believe in ghost stories. But the nightmare that woke him was so vivid, so violently real, that it shook him to his core. In the dream, he saw a man rising from the dark, freezing waves. The figure was wearing a medieval suit of armor, and he was wrapped tightly in a blood-soaked cloth. In one hand, the entity held a long sword, and with the other, he pointed directly at the ship, screaming its name into the freezing wind, Waratah. Sawyer sat in the pitch black of his cabin, listening to the creaking of the wood and the distant sound of the ocean, feeling an overwhelming, suffocating sense of doom. He knew, with absolute, unshakable certainty, that this ship was going to die, and he knew that if he stayed on board, he was going to die with it. The SS Waratah was not an old, rusting cargo vessel. She was the crown jewel of the Blue Anchor Line. Built in 1908, she was barely a year old. They called her the Titanic of the South, 3 years before the actual Titanic ever set sail. She was 500 feet of cutting-edge engineering, 8 watertight compartments, luxuriously appointed cabins, grand dining saloons, and elegant music rooms. She was carrying 211 souls on this voyage from Australia to London, with a brief stop in South Africa. For the wealthy passengers aboard, the ocean was just a backdrop to their evening parties. They drank champagne, they listened to live music, they slept in soft beds, entirely unaware of the abyss beneath them. But Claude Sawyer could not sleep. After his terrifying nightmare, he began to notice things, small things at first. The way the Waratah moved in the water. It didn't slice through the waves. It rolled, a deep, heavy, sluggish roll, as if the ship was top-heavy, as if it was struggling, just a little too long, to right itself after every swell. Sawyer was an experienced engineer. He knew what a stable ship felt like, and this felt wrong. He spent his nights pacing the deck, watching the black water rise too close to the rails. The suffocating dread from his dream had bled into his waking hours. When the ship finally docked in Durban, South Africa, for a brief stopover, Sawyer made his decision. He packed his bags and walked down the gangway. He tried to warn the others. He spoke to a group of passengers, including the wealthy Hayes sisters, begging them to leave the ship. He told them about the sluggish rolling. He told them about his dream, the man in armor, the blood, the absolute certainty of death. They laughed at him. They told him he was being hysterical. They were on the finest ship in the Southern Hemisphere. The Waratah was unsinkable, they said. Sawyer stood on the docks in Durban and watched as the grand ship pulled away, heading back out into the violent waters of the open ocean. He had abandoned part of his luggage. He had lost the money he paid for his ticket. His friends thought he was crazy. But as he watched the Waratah disappear into the gray horizon, he knew he had just bought his life. On July 25th, the Waratah sailed into the notorious waters off the wild coast of South Africa. Sailors have another name for this stretch of water. They call it the graveyard of ships. The weather was turning. The wind picked up, howling across the open deck, and the sky bruised into a deep, sickly purple, before fading into a pitch-black night. That morning, another vessel, a cargo ship named the Clan McIntyre, spotted the Waratah. They exchanged standard signals. To the casual observer, the Waratah looked fine, cutting through the rising swells with its massive black hull. But the captain of the McIntyre noticed something unsettling. The Waratah was moving fast, too fast for the worsening conditions. And that heavy, sluggish roll, the exact movement Claude Sawyer had warned everyone about, was much worse now. Every time the massive luxury liner tipped into a wave, it seemed to hesitate, It hung at an impossible angle, just a fraction of a second too long, before groaning back upright. By nightfall, the storm hit with absolute vengeance. Hurricane-force winds whipped the sea into a frenzy. Waves reached 30, sometimes 40 feet high, slamming against steel like concrete. The ocean had become a dark, violent nightmare. Later that evening, a cavalryman stationed on the rugged South African coast was looking out over the black water. Through the blinding rain, he saw the distant lights of a large ship. It was struggling, fighting a losing battle against the massive swells. Then, he saw two blinding flashes of light, like sudden explosions in the dark. He watched closely, waiting for the lights to re-emerge from the waves. He waited and waited, but there was nothing. The lights never came back up. The ship was simply gone, swallowed by the abyss in a matter of seconds. No distress call was ever sent. No rockets were fired. 211 people, the wealthy, the crew, the children, simply vanished into the freezing black water. When the storm finally broke, the search began. The disappearance of the Waratah shocked the world. Ships scoured the South African coast for weeks. They expected to find debris, smashed lifeboats, deck chairs, bodies washing ashore, but they found nothing. Not a single piece of wood, not a life jacket, not a drop of oil, a 500-foot luxury liner, and 211 souls had been completely erased from existence. To this day, despite decades of sonar searches and deep-sea expeditions, the wreck of the SS Waratah has never been found. It remains one of the most chilling unsolved mysteries in maritime history. Oceanographers believe the ship fell victim to a freak wave, a rogue wall of water, perhaps 60 feet high, that struck the sluggish, top-heavy vessel perfectly on its side. In this scenario, the ship wouldn't have sunk slowly. It would have rolled completely upside down in a matter of seconds, trapping everyone inside the luxurious cabins, the dining halls, and the music rooms, dragging them straight to the bottom of the abyss before they even knew what was happening. No time to scream, no time to deploy a lifeboat, just the violent, crushing weight of the black ocean. But Claude Sawyer knew. He lived the rest of his life with the chilling knowledge that the ocean had sent him a warning. A man in armor, a sword dripping with blood, a name screamed into the freezing wind. He listened to his fear, and he survived. It makes you wonder, if the dark waters whisper to us in our sleep, how many of us are actually listening? Tell me what you think happened to the Waratah in the comments. Do you think the wreck will ever be found? I read every single one. If the sound of the dark ocean is pulling you under tonight, good. Let it take you. Subscribe. So, the next story finds you in the dark. I am the Night Chronicle. Sleep well.